A-League fans, welcome to the first instalment of the Isuzu Ute, the A-League's Download podcast. The podcast you all loved last year with a cracking first weekend in the A-League. We've got a lot to bring to you. I'm your host, Jake Barker-Daish, joined by former Danish and Melbourne City goalkeeper Thomas Sorensen, and of course, Melbourne Victory and Socceroos legends Archie Thompson. Guys, we've got a lot to break down, but great first weekend for the A-League.
Boom. A-League is back. This is what we've been waiting for. We've been sitting here anxious for the last 3 months, and I think we got plenty of things to talk about. I think we were entertained. Great goals, bad decisions, some goalkeeping mistakes. We had everything, I think. Yeah.
And of course, we have a lot of great topics to bring to you. The A-League's Download is going to be having a little refreshed approach this year. Lots of key topics, short amount of time to break them down with my co-host. We're going to be going through some very important points. The F3 derby, most of all, that stood out as the game of the weekend. Was the VAR decision from Sean Evans the correct one? And of course, breaking down some bald players in the A-League. Who had the best shaved head? A lot to bring to you. But before we get into that, we are going to go through our round one bangers. Some great goals as we saw out in the F3 derby. Alex Battolato with an absolute perler here that we're going to have a look at. Thomas Sorensen, keen to get your thoughts on what this goal looked like as well.
You know what? First of all, I think Andy Redmayne should have done better. It's a casual catch in my view. But hey, Battolato, you know, when it's served on a platter for you, smash it in the top corner, and that's what he did. Absolutely amazing strike. Again, it just served up what this game was all about, Archie.
Yeah, and I guess from Andrew Redmayne's point of view, I know he's been there for a while. When you're swapping teams and then you go into Central Coast from Sydney, would you probably feel a little bit in the nerves, and that's why he's kind of punched it?
No, well, if I was him, I would be excited. And then here we obviously see SA's great little chip catching Matt Sutton off, who was just off the plane. Actually had a great game, but probably maybe rushed out a bit, but taking nothing away from that SA finish.
Yeah, wonderful finishes in the first round of the A-League. The F3 derby, though, was filled with absolute chaos. An important game for Central Coast to get their season going. Newcastle coming fresh off the Australia Cup final. But my God, what a game we had. What a feast of an ending. Thomas, keen to get your thoughts. How big of a game and moment was that for Central Coast to get their season going?
You know, massive. Jackson just left before the season, their manager, and Warren Moon signed at, I think, one training session. You know, so there's been a lot of turmoil around the team. Lost a few players, a lot of question marks, but I think they stood up. And yeah, I criticised Andy Redmayne, but he became the hero. I think he's gone back to Central Coast. Obviously, we're left on the bench at Sydney, and I think again he showed his worth, and that's what they need. That energizing, and they went to the fans after the game, and it just shows how much it means.
Speaking of the penalty, Archie, Andrew Redmayne, what a moment, what a save.
Yeah.
You just take us through what you saw here, that the moment Eli Adams missed and that changed the game for Central Coast.
Well, from a strike point of view, I mean, you could probably touch on the save, Thomas, but I think that's an amazing strike. I mean, he's hit it low and hard, and especially to step up in a moment like that when you're in injury time, knowing that that's going to be a win. Still an amazing save, but your thoughts on this one, Thomas? Because it almost looked like
Did he think that was a back pass there? What's going on?
I think again, it's sometimes you lose your game awareness, and then that's what Delianov does. You know, he can easily catch it. It's not a back pass in my view. It's a skied clearance. It goes into the box, and you either have to punch it. And I think the worst case scenario is that the referee gives a free kick. Who cares?
Yeah.
But you can't half-heartedly try to go in amongst players and try to head it. Like, that's a disaster waiting. And they got punished last second of the game, and it cost them.
Yeah, definitely. And I will quickly say, though, but from a sort of Newcastle point of view, it's almost like last year with MacArthur. They won the Australia Cup, and then everyone's a bit excited, and they come into the league and they kind of just falter a little bit. I felt that Newcastle did not start that game great at all. They gave up possession way too easy, and they did sort of come a little bit better towards the end there. But Mark would be very disappointed with his players that they didn't maybe feed off the Australia Cup. We talk about Mark Jackson leaving, and then Moon coming in, Warren Moon. I'd be looking at that club going, man, I don't know if I want to go into that with what's going on. But I think with Warren Moon, I've seen firsthand him dealing with stuff with the PNG national team. And mate, that is one hell of a trip. Like the stuff that he would, this is what he had to probably deal with. So he's probably well equipped to be able to go into there with maybe the turmoil that's happening, because of the experience with the PNG national team and do a job, especially in short amount of time. But then we're going to have to probably see what happens in round 2.
Well, we've started well in the Isuzu Ute, the A-League downloads. We've gone overtime in our first topic.
Oh, see, that's me. That was me, man.
We want to break down, Archie, what was probably the most contentious moment of the round. As we saw, Sean Evans gave a free kick to Central Coast. It was brought back to the VAR box to have a look because they thought there might be more in it. And then the free kick was overturned and the yellow card was rescinded. Archie, take us through this moment because this changed the weekend.
Well, I don't think there's any argument between us and this one. I mean, I don't know what's going on with the referee in this case. Understandably, the VAR can go, okay, here's a decision guy to Evans and say, look, maybe come and have a check. This could be a possible red card because he's the last defender. He's in goal. But what had happened is that he's gone and completely gone, hey, I made a mistake, let's not even give a yellow card or a foul. Not even worry about the red card, which for me is a real stupid decision. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, no, for me, I hate this because, I will go even a step further. I think Sean Evans really just takes the easy solution because by annulling everything, he takes his decision, is it a red card, out of the equation. And I don't think there's anything that can make us believe that was an initial mistake. There's no clear evidence that there wasn't a foul. I think there's a touch, there's a swipe with his feet, and then there's a potential little tug as well. It's not a massive free kick, we can all agree, and it shouldn't have been a red card. But for him to sort of totally disband and everything, I think that's where I start questioning why. And that's why we're talking about it. Had he let it go and said, no red card, but yellow card, free kick, boom, it would have been a no case. But he's trying to get out of jail, and I don't like it. And
the assumption there would be that VAR's called him over to look at that if there's more in it from a yellow card to a red card point of view, not to go the other way.
And there's nothing to overturn it. I don't think he can't stand there and say, this was definitely not a free kick.
Yeah, and well within his right to go to the ground there, Lockie Rose. But we'll keep moving here on the Isuzu Ute, the A-League's download, because we have a great player that has been propping up with goals, appearances. He's onto his 5th club now in the league. Kosta Barbarouses for the Western Sydney Wanderers took the lead in the first game of the weekend against Melbourne City. What a fantastic player he has been. Over 100 goals, many appearances in the competition. Prompted the question and thought over the weekend, would he be on an A-League Mount Rushmore? Thomas, what do you think? There's been a lot of great players, but is his face on there right now?
I'll give you a cynical answer, no. Absolutely no. But again, take nothing away. He's definitely in a top 10 recognition. I think he's had a great career. When I look at him as a striker, he said he's got 104 goals. And I think the goal that we're seeing right now, his movement, it shows what a great player he is. He's won the title several times.
Yep.
So he's an all-time great. But I still think that Jamie McLaren, who's scored 150 goals in 250 games, best at Berisha, in the striking charts are ahead of him and would probably go on the Mount Rushmore. But again, Archie, you've played with him.
Yeah.
He's a top player.
Yeah, look, I'm chiseling him on that to Rushmore.
Archie.
I think he's a fantastic player.
He is.
And he's clinical. I mean, he's in the top 5 for A-League goals.
That's still outside.
He's got, so he's got 104 goals. He's the 5th most appearances in the competition as well with 351.
So where's he stand on the goal chart?
I think he's top 4.
Oh, so he's in the top. Okay, so he's in the top 5. So I like what he's done with throughout his career at clubs. He's always brought an X factor, and I think that's why he's going to probably have success at Western Sydney because of the style of football that they play. And look, his longevity too. I don't see him sort of miss a beat in terms of speed. Like for quick players, you maybe lose a bit of agility, a bit of sharpness. I don't think he's lost that at all, and he still continues to score goals. So,
but does that bring him to the
for me it does.
top 4? So you would put him on top 4. So you put him ahead of McLaren?
Well, he does win. He's got 4 championships, 3 premierships, and an Australian Cup as well.
but you've got to look at so many other players again. And can we all? Is it just about how many goals and how many?
So how many heads can go on a Rushmore?
4.
Can we put 5? No,
but that's why I said definitely no. But that is nothing against him as a player because I think he's an icon of the A-League. But 4 spots, and I don't see him in it.
Well, Brisbane Roar's approach in the pre-season was getting very much of a rebrand around the club. There was word on the street, the aggressive nature that they are bringing to their style to lay a strong foundation to build upon what's been a difficult few years for the football club. We saw them in round one. It looked very fierce and competitive against Macarthur. Thomas, what do you think about that style of play? Is that an important approach for Brisbane to go with? Is it going to be found out quite quickly by their opponents?
No, we'll have to wait and see, but I like what Valkanis is doing. I think he's trying to set a tone. You know, at a club that's struggled for the last 5 or 6 years, they've not really done anything, and he's trying to build a culture. And what you can do is you start with effort, you start with clean sheets, and then you build confidence, and then you go from there. Will they have the quality to back it up further down the line? We'll have to wait and see. But actually, I didn't think they were overly physical. We can focus on the red card, 2 sort of bad challenges, and that's what happens. But I like the feistiness. Bring it on, and we'll see where it goes.
Archie, you've played in many physical teams. I mean, you played with the great Kevin Muscat, who was a leader and an enforcer.
Yeah.
Just that type of style. What edge does that bring to you as a team when you're going up against an opposition?
Well, I think with Brisbane Roar, it's almost like the success they had in the past has almost kind of defined them what they are now. Is that like everyone thinks of Brisbane Roar as this team that plays amazing football, but it was really under Ange Postecoglou in those 2 years. So that's not going to happen. So what identity are we going to have as a club? And I think what Valkanis is going, okay, we're going to bring an aggressive kind of type of football. We might have seen it in the old Premier League with Wimbledon. It's a good, with what's his name, Big Vince. Is it Vinny? Vinny Jones in the middle of the park. But that might be what teams are going to face when they face Brisbane Roar, because Brisbane Roars of previous pasts teams have been able to roll over them in every factor, physical, from playing football. Well, let's try and win something back, and that's what they've done. They've done the physicality, and then they can start to bring it the style of football.
Well, let's have a look at Michael Valkanis' press conference and some of the words that he had to say about it as well.
I don't know what they expect. Whether they just expect us to lie down and let them beat us. Maybe they've found a rule that's getting the rule back into Brisbane, and they'll fight to the very end. And that's what we showed today, that we really care.
And if we have a look as well, Michael Valkanis' son, Dimitri Valkanis, made his debut in the A-League. It didn't last too long, about an hour gone, as the second yellow card was taken here. As you can see, a red card. Thomas, just your quick 2 cents on those challenges there.
You know, like I said, they're harsh. But my question is, what happened in the car back to the house? Was there high fives? It's like, yes, son, this is what I wanted. You know, you set the tone, or was it actually, you know, the difficult silence that you had with your parents in the car when you've not played that well?
My understanding is he's grounded for 3 weeks.
Is he?
Without any Netflix.
Oh, no,
mate,
not the Netflix.
That's what happens.
Take my eyes, but not the Netflix.
No high
there we
fives
go.
then.
Well, I confirmed before the show that Archie Thompson has a shaved head, not a bald head, right? So that is
mate, there is a bit at the back there.
There's a little bit, right? So
I see some.
There is a distinct difference between shaved and bald, and it made us think. Some of the most iconic bald players that we have in the A-League. We go through some great players that we can name here. Ryan Grant was one that stood out. His hair journey across the A-League, and I'm sorry to do this to you, Buster, is one for the all-time takes. We see him here with the buzz cut shaved right off. But we go back in time when he made his debut here. The long blonde locks, Ryan Grant. Archie Thompson, just you, about any players that stood out to you with the shaved head, some icons of the A-League.
Well, I understand where he's coming from. I used to, at the start of my A-League career, have kind of somewhat of a hairstyle. Now I've got to keep it nice and short, and maybe not get into certain lights, because you can see that maybe it's not as growing as thick as what it used to. But well, Kevin Muscat is obviously someone that stands out for me, that was an amazing footballer. But Tiato was someone that was fierce. You can see here, Muskie. Tiato, strong in the challenge.
Does bald make you more scarier as well? I mean, Danny
No,
Tiato
we're looking at we're just looking at Aaron Moore. There's nothing scary about Aaron Moore. Yeah. So, but again, I think for me, like here we'll say Ruben Sakovic, and that, you know, that 15-second send-off against Wellington back in 2014, I think, when you know, he two-footed someone, and they managed to win it though. But you know, it's you know, it tends to bring something out in these players.
Yeah.
They tend to be able to, you know.
So who was the favourite? Who was the favourite we got? Shaved head.
You know what?
Some
Aaron
assassins
Moy, I
across-
played with Aaron Moy. I saw
Aaron
how
Moy's-
great he was.
Yeah, he was.
You know, he was very quiet, but he definitely delivered on the pitch.
Yeah, well, Shinji Ono, didn't he shave his head?
He did. He
Yeah,
had a,
so
he had a
I'm
great
like,
cut.
yeah,
Shinji
it
Ono.
just came to me.
That's a good. That's a good catch, Archie.
Yeah, I'm
well,
gonna
just
go-
going back in the archives as you did, a game you're very well known for across the A-League's history, served up one of my favourite moments in the competition. Christian Sarkis here, 20 years old, kissing former Australian Prime Minister John Howard on the forehead in a medal ceremony. That takes some cojones to do.
Well, maybe it was not a good thing that he did that because, unfortunately, sorry, Sarks, there is karma. He's not.
Oh, that's a good
Yeah,
point.
his hair's not
Oh, there
in
you
places
go.
that he would like to.
Yeah,
right
be
now.
careful what you wish
Yeah,
for.
do not kiss bald people on the head.
One of the games of the weekend, without doubt, we were all looking for before it started, was Auckland versus Melbourne victory. Did it deliver? Did it give what you want? A stalemate in the first game between two teams in the competition that's going to be very, very much fighting for the top position. Nishan Vellupilay was a exclusion from the game with an injury. Archie, I want to get your points of view on him because is he going to be the vital piece of their jigsaw going into this season?
From watching the first game of the A-League season from Melbourne Victory, you'd have to say yes. I just think Santos, and sometimes when it's the start of the season, you're still trying to find your feet. You're still trying to, adapt to the intensity of the game. And so, it might take you a couple of weeks to get into the sort of groove of things. Jelassic was someone that came in early season, in the pre-season, still trying to understand what it is to play for Melbourne Victory and at that level in front of fans. But you'd have to say without Nishan, they just are lacking a little bit of punch in those wide areas, someone to really take players on, and also to be able to give delivery to Virgos. I know that he's someone that has been given the number 9 position, hasn't had to fight for it last year with Bruno Fornaroli. Now it's really on the onus of him to be able to establish him and start scoring goals. But in saying that, you've got to have the delivery. I don't think there was enough there to go on and go, is Virgos our man?
And just quickly, just to throw back to you, Archie, Nishan on his day, would you say he's one of the most electric players in the competition?
Yeah, without a doubt. And no wonder that there was probably maybe interest overseas, but also to push him into a starting 11 for the Socceroos was well deserved. I mean, he is an absolute excitement machine when he's in full flight.
Yeah, and you're looking at a team that missing, obviously, Mashas is gone, Asani, who was electric last year. And, have they matched those? I don't think so. And I think that's where, you're looking at Vellupilay to be that star player that can again, you can push for Socceroos who got a World Cup next year. He wants to be in there. So, I think you said probably game 4, that's what they're aiming for, that he should be fit. So, they didn't start well last season. Again, they got plenty of time. They need him back fit, and then I'm sure he'll have an impact.
And it does add another sort of pressure to Vellupilay because he had Azani, he had Mashash, he had Bruno Fornaro. Now that the onus is going to be on him to do something special. So that just adds another little element to his game.
And we think how important Nikos Virgos' season is going to be for Melbourne Victory in the number 9 shirt. He's going to be needing to get goals, and if he doesn't get goals, will they put Nishan Vellupilay up forward? We're going to be very interested to see how that plays out. Now, 2 sons in the A-League, former sons, I should say, of some A-League legends, Ethan Alagic and Seb Despotovsky, played some stellar games on the weekend. Thomas, you're a massive fan of Ethan Alagic. What did you think of his game? Because we're going to break down both of their games and also come out with who do we think got the chocolates this weekend.
Yeah, again, a player who's come on strong. He played the most minutes for Adelaide last season. I love his energy. He's box to box. He's only 21, so again, you see the improvement. Again, this is a great strike. The run, timing. Actually, I would go as far as say, for me, he's potentially a bit of a bolter for the World Cup squad. He's got this season, if he can continue this form, and be a dominating player for Adelaide, and they can have a good season.
You rate him that highly?
Yeah, we saw what happened to Ryan Teague last year, and for me, he's a similar player. I think he's got a great future, and he's just stepped in over a year. It's become probably one of their most important players alongside Goodwin.
Yeah.
Seb Despotovsky, Archie, how good was he on the weekend?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, look, we got to see what Alagic done last season, so we know what he's capable of. Someone to get their first A-League start, and to maybe have the pressure of having a dad like Bobby Despotovsky. Everyone already is focused on what he can do, and from what I've seen, just in patches when he did have the ball was great. I mean, a lot of these led to the goal. and he's just awareness of players around him. I mean, that cross to Konchasky, I mean, if it was just a metre towards where Konchasky was running, that may be a goal. But to Alegic's point, I think he's an absolute superstar. I'm with Thomas. I think he's got all the attributes to go and have an amazing career. I don't know if he's going to be a bolter for the Socceroos. It might be just a World Cup too early when I look at the players that they have there already. But he's going to go on and do some amazing things. I love the way that he plays.
Two very exciting players. Another player in that game against Ethan Alegich was Paul Ocon-Engster, who's going to be a very exciting talent, a former Socceroo player's son in Paul Ocon. Now, we just saw some footage of the Perth game against Wellington. Wellington went through a very difficult season last year, very much playing with a low block. We saw a different Wellington against Perth, one that was playing a very high line and one that was aggressive after a 2-0 deficit. Yeah. Archie, how did you see that, the change in tactics and approach from Wellington? Is that going to be something that's going to be exciting or detriment to their game?
Well, it can be both. It can be exciting in terms of if you heard Chiefy after the game about winning the ball high and then being able to be closer towards goals, and you can probably try to score a lot more. But then if you're not putting pressure on the ball in a midfield and you've got two defenders, or central defenders, that are slow, it's going to cause a lot of problems. So they've got to really figure things out. But I think with Chiefy, he did say last year, in an interview this year actually, that he lost himself a little bit because he was questioning. I think he may be overcoached, because sometimes if you go into your wardrobe, you get two pairs of socks, you just go on this sock, that sock, and then you end up with two different socks.
Yeah.
And you're out the door.
Yeah.
I think that's what Chiefy was.
Yeah.
That's what happened with Chiefy last year. I think if you got an idea of how you're going to play, and then maybe don't overthink and tinker with it too much, fix those little bits, then it could be exciting.
Let's have a hear what Chief had to say on the weekend.
There's no perfect system, right? So if you want to play a low block, you're going to be defending for long periods of time, and you can't really play a low block and have high possession. So for us, if we want to have more of the ball, be this team on the front foot, we need to be more adventurous. That's the high line. The most important thing is the players don't lose faith in the system, but see that there's an actual reward out of that.
Thomas, are they rolling the dice here a little bit with that aggressive style? Is that going to be high risk, high reward, or?
Yeah, no, and I think that's what he's going for. I think actually, in some way, I like it because, we can probably say they haven't got the best squad in the A-League. They'll be up against it. So why not do it? There's no relegation at this point. So, you know what? It's going to take time. I think we can't judge it on this game. They need to work out to, like Archie said, they need to get pressure on the ball. They need to get the timing right, when to drop, when to push in. So, you know what, the jury's still out for me. But I quite like it because I'd rather see that than what they did last season, just sitting back and doing nothing. And they haven't got Barbarouses up front with that pace. So they need to rethink it, and we'll see.
Boys, great to have the A-League back, no doubt. Electric weekend.
It's going to be better next weekend. It's going to be better next weekend.
Red cards, VAR, decisions, goals. What more could you want across big derbies, the distance derby, the F3 derby? It was a hell of a weekend. We can't wait to see more of what the season is going to bring. The Isuzu Ute, the A-League's download, is going to be with you every Monday following every round in the A-League this season. I will see you next week. I'm your host, Jake Barker-Daish. As always, joined by Thomas Sorensen and Archie Thompson. We'll see you then.